they accepted me into the school, but I had no money to go. They wrote her back a letter and said, come on, give you a full scholarship, come go to school. So she did. And then back then, we're talking that was a long time ago. There weren't that many women attorneys. So, I mean, they were trying to recruit women to go to law school.
Was that?
When she got in, after she got in, I applied to go because I wanted to go. And I got turned down and didn't get accepted. So, kind of disappointment, but I kept doing what I was doing. I went over one day to pick Susan up for lunch. I was walking through the halls of the law school, and a gentleman tapped me on my shoulder, and I stopped, and it was one of the teachers. And he said, Wayne, he said, you still want to go to law school? And I said, yeah. He said, well, we have one no-show this year. It's yours if you want it. So we had Susan for lunch. We tried to figure out how we would do anything with both of us going to school. And we decided it couldn't be done. So I went back to the school and told the guy I think it would be there. And then Susan and I sat down and figured out what we do. And what we did was, we did several things, but one of the things we did for 2 years, I guess, was we got making telegraph routes, and we delivered newspapers in the morning. And we'd get to class by, I don't know, we'd go out early, it was still dark to do the papers, and then we'd get to class by 8 o'clock. But we did not have a lot of money at that time. I remember we ate lots of chicken stew. I made gallons of chicken stew. And we lived on chicken stew. But anyway, your Nana, she loved school. She couldn't go to school forever. She graduated with honors from law school. I graduated, but no honors. But anyway, and she took a job with the state to be the attorney for the superintendent in Milledgeville at this what do they call it back then? Asylum, was it? What do they call it?
Some people called it that. Central State Hospital.
It was Central State Hospital, yeah, with mentally ill and folks. Anyway, she took that job, and I went into private practice, and that's how we were for a long time. She retired from the state, which is a good thing.
Did you like being an attorney?
Oh yeah. I after a few years, all I was doing was criminal work, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I love trying cases. Won a whole bunch of cases, lost very few. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I am convinced that I don't care what you do, just to make a living, you need to like it. You need to enjoy what you do.
Yeah, definitely.
Dad, you still recording?
Yep.
What's like professionally? What would be the highlight professionally? What would be like if you could pick one thing?
And might know that I did or
that you were a part of or did?
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
What do you think?
Oh, you still recording?
Yeah. What's the highlight?
Oh, okay.
The biggest one.
My highlight is I had a case that I had appealed to the appellate court, and they denied it, turned it down. So I took it to the Georgia Supreme Court, and they reversed the appellate court and decided in my favor. And it was first time I'd done anything in the Georgia Supreme Court. I had done the appellate court several times, and had gone up and argued in the appellate court several times for the verbal argument. But I was real pleased with that case. Matter of fact, I had the opinion framed. I got it downstairs, hanging up downstairs.
Didn't you have a young attorney or a law school student approach you about that, saying that he read about that case?
I did,
in law
yes,
school?
and his professor was using that case to teach his students about the doctrine of unclean hands.
That's cool.
I got your record, 12 wins in a row.
And I was quite flattered.
What about your 12 wins in a row, Granddaddy? What about
I have not guilty verdicts in Baldwin County. My memory is that I had 12 not guilty verdicts in criminal cases in a row. Boom, 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 boom. After the trial, I'd walk into the office and
Okay.
I'd run into the attorney that was in the office with me. He'd say, "How'd it go?" And I'd say, "Not guilty." I had a bunch of T-shirts made up that said, on the back of it said, "Not guilty." The two most beautiful words in the English language. And they were.
Thank you, Granddaddy, for
You're welcome.
taking the time. Thank you. Hello, Nana.
Hello, how are you, kiddo?
Good. Let's see, how do we...
Yeah, look, you said you remembered him.
Yeah, okay.
Start chronologically.
All right.
Born.
Okay. When were you born?
I was born on Groundhog's Day in the year 1948, February 2nd,
Where were you raised?
Dayton, Ohio.
What were your parents like?
They were wonderful parents. Couldn't have asked for better ones. Smart as a whip, and very kind, and they taught me everything. I have so many good memories of talking about books with my dad.
What was your childhood like?
Well, I went to elementary school at Jefferson Elementary, which was a block away from our house at the time. And then I went on to Colonel White High School, and then I went to DePaul University for college.
What was your favorite subject in school?
In college, it was probably psychology.
Did you have any siblings?
I have 3 brothers, all younger, thank goodness.
Who are they?
What are their names?
Brian, who was also always called Dusty, David and Kevin, and David and Kevin are twins.
When did you meet Granddaddy?
I met him on our first day as probation parole supervisors in Macon, Georgia.
Who was your first boyfriend?
Oh, goodness. I remember in kindergarten, I loved Ted Grierson. Then I had crushes all the way through. My first serious boyfriend was in college, I guess. His name was Terry Beatty. And then I met a fellow by the name of Eric Spasia, and I married him right out of college, although it only lasted 3 years.
Did you know him in college?
I did. Met him in college.
And what year were you when you met? You remember, was you a freshman, sophomore?
Probably a junior or senior.
And was he in the
I
same
didn't go with
major?
him. No, I don't even remember what his major was.
Huh.
Do you remember your did you ever meet your grandparents?
I met my mother's mother, who was very special to me, and we called her Mom. She didn't want to be called grandmother or granny or nana. She wanted to be called Mom, so I always called her Mom. Wonderful woman. She played piano for her church growing up, and that's where I got my interest in playing the piano, I guess.
What was your favorite age?
My favorite age. I'd have to say 17, because seemed like I waited my whole life to turn 17. I don't know why I thought that was so special, but I guess I felt like I'd be grown when I was 17.
I would have thought whatever age you were in 1977 would have been your favorite age.
That's my favorite date. That's my favorite year. My favorite year is 1977, because that's when I had my son.
What was it like raising a son like Lucas?
Wonderful. He practically raised himself. He made it so easy.
What would you say was your favorite decade necessarily?
My favorite decade. Probably the 70s.
What about the 70s made it your favorite time necessarily?
Getting married to my present husband, whom I love very much. We've been married now for 47 years. Can you imagine? I deserve a medal. At any rate, and then our son was born, and my stepdaughter Stephanie was born in the 70s.
Yes.
And I went to law school in the 70s, and I loved law school. I would have stayed in law school forever if they'd let me.
Let me think. Let me pause it for a bit. What was your first job? Where did you first?
My first job.
No.
Well, I was a
Okay,
lab
no one.
assistant in college, but I didn't get paid anything for that. So, my first job was
Where's the other one?
probably,
There it is.
my first
That's one I
real
use every
job
day. That one,
was,
though.
See that under there? I'm putting medical supplies.
Okay.
probation
You
and
don't
parole
do that.
supervisor, I guess, in Macon. And I loved that too.
Listen.
One of these.
Why did you decide to move from Ohio to Georgia?
Well, after college, I applied to and got admitted to a graduate school in Tennessee in psychology.
One of these is,
And then when
that's a, there was the other.
my first husband and I were married
There's a
at that
couple of them
time,
that are not taking
and
it right now.
he was from Georgia. No, he wasn't. He was from Alabama. And anyway, I applied for a job at Central State Hospital and got it, which is why we moved to Millersville, Georgia.
You know, we drove by Riverbend Road. You should ask them about that.
What was it like living by Riverbend Road, the first house?
I loved it. It was right on campus. I didn't have to drive but about 2 blocks to get to work. It was a lovely house, and I just loved that whole job. I still miss it.
Let me think. What was why did you decide to move into the house here?
This is
By the lake.
Well, because we
I
decided
cannot find
that
anybody
we
still
really
that
wanted
happy.
to live by the lake. I've always liked it. He always liked it, and we decided we needed to get our own house,
That's
not
because it's a
not the
rechargeable.
state's
It's
house,
just
but ours.
rechargeable.
Mm-hmm.
And we found this and moved in. I think it was 1986.
You put that amazing amount of light.
Your dad was about 9, I think, when we moved here.
I thought it was 7. Was it 9?
Maybe it was 7.
I'm not sure. I just, for some reason, was thinking 7. It's just abandoned now.
Yeah, the
It's
house
so
is
sad.
abandoned.
All my neighbors.
So, Nana, when you,
Yeah.
can we go back a little bit?
Sure.
So you graduated undergrad, and you went to graduate school in Tennessee, right?
University of Tennessee in
Studying
Knoxville,
psychology.
in psychology.
Were you going to be a clinical psychologist, or were you going to do experiments? What was
Well,
the plan?
clinical psychology was my aim,
No.
but after a year of that, I decided I really wanted to go to law school.
Well, what's the story that I heard? Did Dad help convince you to apply for law school, or was that all you?
I didn't know him yet,
Oh, okay.
so that was all me.
Cool. But you went from, there's a cat outside. You went from grad school, and then you went to Central State Hospital, and you worked there, and that's when you decided that you wanted
Oh
to
yeah, I guess I skipped that part.
Yeah, because the way I remember it is you went to Central State Hospital.
Got a job as a psychology technician at Central State Hospital, working with the mentally retarded at that time.
And then, how long did you stay at that job?
A couple of years maybe, and then I
Okay.
decided to go to law school.
Didn't you become a probation officer between that though? Or when did you meet Dad? Didn't you?
You're confusing me.
I thought, didn't you go to Central State? When did you move? When did you become a parole officer or a probation officer? Isn't that?
I guess that was pre-law school.
72?
and I'm one of the probation officers we worked with was Steve Ritchie, and he was in law school at the time, and that's probably what got me thinking about it.